It's 3 p.m. on a Tuesday. You have been in back-to-back meetings all morning, your inbox is overflowing, and that project you thought was under control just hit a major snag. You are feeling overwhelmed and frustrated and completely out of control. Sound familiar? Here's the thing about bad days at work. They're usually not about the work itself. They're about us feeling out of control. Maybe you feel like you don't have enough time to do everything that needs to be done. Maybe you were in a conversation where your perspective wasn't heard or valued. Maybe you got some feedback that was hard to process, or you're simply overwhelmed by everything on your to-do list. The common thread, you're feeling like you need more control, and you're feeling disconnected from your ability to influence your situation. But here's what I've learned after years of coaching managers through difficult days and having plenty myself. You have more control than you think. And I'm going to share with you the specific steps that you can take right now when you're having a bad day. Not tomorrow or next week, but in the moment when you're having a bad day, so that you can regain that sense of control and turn your day around. Hi, I am Amy Camphor-Stewart, and welcome to The Modern Manager. Every week, I share strategies to help you be a rockstar manager with a thriving team. Be sure to click that bell and subscribe so you never miss a video. Let me walk you through this 5-step framework that will help you regain control when you're having a bad day at work. Step 1, name what is actually happening. This first step is to get clear about what is making this day feel so difficult. Most of the time, we know how we feel. We know we're having a bad day, but we haven't identified the specific cause. Are you frustrated because a team member dropped the ball and now you have a bunch of extra work to do? Are you overwhelmed by the growing list on your to-dos and you just can't handle it all? Did you get some feedback that struck a nerve? Are you feeling unheard in a meeting or feeling like your influence in that decision wasn't being taken seriously? Take a minute to actually name what's happening. Not just, oh, this day sucks, I'm having a bad day, but I'm really frustrated because I now have to work late to fix someone else's mistake. Or I'm feeling completely overwhelmed because I do not know where to start with this project and I know it needs to get done. This matters because different kinds of bad days require different kinds of recovery. The strategy for dealing with frustration is different from the strategy of dealing with overwhelm, which is different from the strategy for processing difficult feedback. And when you name what's actually happening, you can choose the right response instead of just hoping that those feelings will pass. Step 2. Identify your next small action. Once you know what's causing your bad day, your next step is to identify one small action you can take to move in the right direction. If you're feeling frustrated because you have to do extra work, your next action might be making a plan for how you're going to get it done in a way that hopefully still protects your evening plans or whatever else you have to do. Or it might be having a conversation with your boss or with a team member about reprioritizing or how to prevent this kind of mistake from happening in the future. If you're overwhelmed by your to-do list, your next step might be reorganizing your task list by priority or doing a brain dump to get all of those little tasks out of your head. Or it might be talking to your boss about how to prioritize what you have left on your to-do list. If you've gotten some difficult feedback, your next action might be journaling about it. Why was this so hard to hear? What about it felt real and maybe struck a chord because you kind of knew this? And what maybe was a misunderstanding and feels really wrong to you because it's not how you intend to show up? Or it might be scheduling some time to process that emotion and that feedback with a trusted friend or colleague. The key is choosing something small and concrete that will give you a sense of forward momentum and that you can do right now. It might even be something as simple as clearing off your desk so that you have a less cluttered workspace. The goal isn't to solve the whole thing. It is to take one action that can help you feel more in control and give you a little more clarity in how you're moving forward. Step 3 is to process your emotions. Emotions are super tricky things because they tend to linger. It is like we have to metabolize these emotions before they can fully dissipate from our bodies. So if you are angry about having to fix someone else's mistake, that anger doesn't just disappear because you have your plan. It might reduce a little, you might feel a little bit better, but it might still be living inside of you. Same thing if you're hurt by some feedback you received. That hurt's not just going to go away because you processed it and decided that you're going to approach this professionally. You still need to give those emotions somewhere to go. So for some people, that means physical movement, going for a walk, hitting the gym, crying, or just even shaking the tension out of your body. While for others, it's really helpful to write it out in a journal or talk it out with someone you trust. The key is that you have to get these emotions out of your system instead of just pushing them down or ignoring them. Because when you repress those feelings, they build up and just create more stress and more resentment and more frustration. Be sure to also give yourself some grace in this process. Everyone has bad days. Everyone gets frustrated and overwhelmed or disappointed sometimes. And even in themselves, disappointed in themselves. And it's not a character flaw, that's just being human. So our goal is not to never have these emotions. The goal is to process them in a healthy way so that they don't carry over into whatever's coming next or into our next day tomorrow. Step 4 is to regain perspective. After you've processed your emotions, you want to make sure you're putting the bigger situation at the forefront. If you're frustrated by a single meeting where you felt unheard, ask yourself, does this fit into a bigger picture of work and how I'm regularly not being heard? Or was this a kind of one-off situation, an isolated incident? And what other opportunities might I have to share my perspective? Do I need to schedule some time with my boss to revisit this? Or do I know that we're having a meeting next week and I can prepare for that? If you're overwhelmed by your workload, take a step back and look at your priorities. Again, what's actually urgent versus what just feels urgent? Might there be things that you can delegate or delay or approach differently? And if you got that difficult feedback, consider, how does this fit into my overall professional development? What might be a little truthful in here that I could really learn from? And what are those misunderstandings that maybe I want to go clarify or get more information about, or even share, this was not my intention, and make sure that you are coming across in the way that you want? It's important to see that this situation is part of a larger context rather than letting this one moment define your entire day or your entire sense of competence. Step 5 is to plan your recovery. And this final step is about being intentional for how you want to end your day and set yourself up for tomorrow. So this is about what happens after work ends. If you've had a difficult day, you might just want to crawl into a hole and really just hope tomorrow will be better and wish you can get to tomorrow as fast as possible. But it's much better to take specific actions that will increase the chances that tomorrow will be better instead of just hoping it will be. So at work, that might mean looking at your schedule and planning ahead, seeing if there are things that you can adjust on your calendar to give yourself more space for your priorities, or to just have a work plan so that you know what you're going to do and you just take one thing off your plate for tomorrow in terms of preparing and thinking. For this evening, it might also mean planning something restorative, whether that's time with family, a workout, a good meal, or participating in a hobby. And fun fact, while binging Netflix might seem like a great way to unwind, it is not as powerful of a recovery as doing something engaging, especially when you do it with people you love. So even though you might not feel in the mood for baking cookies, which is one of my go-to hobbies, or maybe going out with friends, if you can get over that hump and get yourself to do it, you will likely feel so much better on the other side. So here's your challenge. The next time you're having a bad day at work, and there will be a next time because we all have them, work through these 5 steps. Name what's actually making this day so difficult. Get specific about the cause, not just the feeling. Identify one small action you can take to move forward, something concrete that you can do right now to give you that sense of progress and control. Process your emotions. Give yourself permission to feel frustrated or disappointed or overwhelmed, and find a healthy way to work through those feelings. And then give yourself some perspective. Look at the bigger picture. Regain that context, that higher level look at goals and long-term plans. And lastly, plan your recovery. Be intentional about how you want to end your day and set yourself up for tomorrow. Do something meaningful and fun to brighten your day and brighten your spirits. You don't have to do all of these steps perfectly, and you don't even have to do them in this order. The goal is simply to be intentional about turning your day around instead of just enduring it. I really wish it weren't the case, but bad days at work are inevitable, And you are going to have days where things do not go according to plan, when people disappoint you, when you feel overwhelmed or frustrated. But you don't have to be a victim of those days. You can have more control than you think, and you have the ability to influence how those days end and how tomorrow begins. The difference between managers who get derailed by bad days and managers who bounce back is that one group has a system for regaining control when things go wrong. And remember, your team is watching how you handle those difficult days. When you model resilience and intentional recovery, you're showing them that setbacks are temporary and that there are always actions you can take to move forward. Now, if this video helped you think differently about handling a difficult day at work, hit subscribe and share it with a manager who might be going through a tough time right now. And for more strategies on building resilience and managing the ups and downs of leadership, visit themodernmanager.com. Until next time, remember, you cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you respond. And that response makes all the difference.